Beneath the chaos of modern Mexico City lies the ghost of a once great empire. A city built on water. A people who rose from wanderers to world builders. An empire forged in faith, war, and blood, and gone in the blink of an eye. This is the story of the Aztec civilization, its extraordinary rise, its brilliance, and the tragic fall that still echoes through history. The wanderers become an empire. In the early 1200s, long after the Mayas' golden age had faded, a small nomadic tribe wandered the central highlands of Mexico. They were called the Mexica, outsiders, dismissed by other tribes as crude and barbaric. Legend says they carried with them a prophecy. They would know their home when they saw an eagle perched on a cactus, devouring a serpent. For years, they searched the valleys and lakes of central Mexico, until one day, on a small, swampy island in Lake Texcoco, the vision appeared. An eagle, a cactus, a serpent. Here they would build their destiny. They called it Tenochtitlan, the place of the prickly pear cactus. The birth of a city on water. What began as a humble settlement soon became an engineering marvel. The Aztecs built their city on a lake, using mud, reeds, and genius. They created chinampas, floating gardens that fed thousands. They carved canals, bridges, and causeways that linked every corner of the city. By the 1400s, Tenochtitlan had grown into one of the largest cities on Earth, with temples that touched the sky, bustling markets, and a population rivaling that of Paris or Constantinople. Travelers described it as a Venice of the New World, glittering, disciplined, and breathtakingly alive. But the Aztecs were not just builders, they were warriors, and their empire was born through conquest. Third, the Empire of the Sun. The Mexica rose through blood and brilliance. Under powerful rulers like Itzcoatl, Moctezuma IV, and Ahuitzotl, they built an empire stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean. They conquered dozens of city-states, forming the Triple Alliance with Texcoco and Tlacopan. Tribute flowed into Tenochtitlan: gold, cacao, cotton, jade, and thousands of captives. But the Aztec world was bound by something deeper: religion. Their gods ruled every breath of life. To them, the sun itself was a divine warrior, battling darkness each day. And to keep it alive, it demanded nourishment, the blood of humans. This belief defined their empire, their wars, and ultimately, their downfall. The religion of blood. At the heart of Tenochtitlan stood the Templo Mayor, the Great Pyramid. Here, the Aztecs honored their most powerful gods: Huitzilopochtli, god of the sun and war, and Tlaloc, god of rain and fertility. But their devotion came at a terrible cost. Every year, thousands were sacrificed atop those stone steps. Captives from war, criminals, and sometimes volunteers. Their hearts were offered to the sun, their blood spilled to keep the cosmos alive. To the Aztecs, this was not cruelty, it was cosmic duty. Without sacrifice, they believed, the sun would die, and the world would end. It was a worldview both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a civilization obsessed with balance between creation and destruction. Society, knowledge, and beauty. Despite their fearsome image, the Aztecs were also philosophers, poets, and scientists. They built schools for all citizens, one for nobles, one for commoners, where children learned discipline, music, astronomy, and moral virtue. They created intricate calendars, merging science with spirituality, and recorded history through vibrant codices. Their artisans crafted delicate mosaics, gold jewelry, and feathered headdresses so light they floated in the air. Their poets wrote of the fragility of life, seeing beauty in impermanence. "We only dream," one poet wrote. "It is not true that we live on earth. Only for a short while are we here." They knew, even then, that all empires fade. 6. The Omen of the East. By the early 1500s, the Aztec Empire stood at its height. Its ruler, Moctezuma II, commanded millions. Tenochtitlan shone like a jewel of the world. But in 1519, a new Omen appeared, floating towers of wood, carrying pale men with thunder in their hands. The Spanish had arrived. Led by Hernán Cortés, they came not as traders, but as conquerors. And to the Aztecs, their arrival seemed foretold, a prophecy that the god Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, would one day return from the east. Moctezuma hesitated. Was Cortés a god or a threat? That hesitation would change history forever. 7. The fall of Tenochtitlan. Cortés and his few hundred soldiers could never have taken the empire alone. But the Aztecs had many enemies, city-states oppressed by years of tribute and sacrifice. The Spaniards forged alliances with the Tlaxcalans and others, turning former victims into powerful allies. As they approached Tenochtitlan, Moctezuma welcomed them into the city, an act of fatal hospitality. Soon, the Spanish turned on their hosts, taking Moctezuma captive. Riots erupted, battles raged, and blood filled the canals. In 1520, the Spaniards fled in chaos, the night of sorrows, losing hundreds of men. But they returned months later with thousands of native allies and new weapons. Then came disease. Smallpox carried by the invaders swept through the city, killing warriors, priests, even children. No prayer could stop it. By August 1521, after a brutal siege, Tenochtitlan fell. Its temples were burned, its people enslaved, its canals filled with bodies and ash. The city of the gods was gone, and in its place, the Spaniards built Mexico City. Fate, the world, after the fall. The fall of Tenochtitlan was more than the collapse of an empire. It was the collision of two worlds, one of faith and myth, another of steel and greed. But the Aztec spirit did not vanish. It endured in language, art, food, and memory. Even today, the Mexican flag bears the symbol of their prophecy, an eagle, a cactus, and a serpent. The Mexica may have fallen, but their story became the heartbeat of a nation reborn. 9 Lessons from a Lost Empire. The rise and fall of the Aztec civilization is not just a story of conquest, it's a mirror of humanity itself. They rose through unity, ingenuity, and vision. They fell through pride, fear, and faith turned rigid. Their greatness was built on devotion, but also on sacrifice. Their downfall came not only from foreign steel, but from their own belief that their world could never end. Every empire, ancient or modern, faces the same question. Can a civilization survive when it forgets its own limits? Today, millions walk the streets built upon the temples of the Aztecs. Few notice the stones beneath their feet, stones that once touched the heavens. The Aztec world reminds us that every rise carries within it the seed of its fall, and that what we call the past is never truly gone. It simply waits beneath the surface for us to remember. We only borrow this earth for a short time, the Aztecs believed. Let us build as if we live forever. Their empire may have vanished, but their lesson endures. Subscribe to Timeless Questions channel for more thought-provoking topic on philosophy, human nature, and the mysteries of existence.